The Great Hall of Kepler Station stretched across 3 miles of polished metal and crystal. Floating platforms held representatives from 47 different worlds, each species more advanced than the last. The air shimmered with translation fields as hundreds of languages mixed into one understandable voice. Ambassador Veltar stood at the center podium, his blue skin gleaming under the artificial lights. As the senior representative of the hegemony, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, his words carried weight. Today, those words would decide the fate of a small blue world on the galaxy's edge. Fellow council members, Veltar began, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. We face a crisis unlike any in our 10,000 years of galactic peace. The crystalline Zephyrians chimed in harmony, their bodies reflecting rainbow patterns of concern. The insect-like hive queens clicked their mandibles in agreement. Even the ancient gas whales floating in their atmospheric tanks released worried bubbles. A new species has appeared, Veltar continued. They call themselves humans, and they come from a world called Earth in the Sol system. 3 months ago, they developed faster than light travel. This alone should not concern us, as many species achieve this milestone. He paused, letting the tension build. However, these humans have done something no species has ever done. In just 67 days since achieving FTL capability, they have established 17 colonies, 43 mining operations, and 12 trading posts across 6 star systems. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The ethereal collective, beings of pure energy, flickered with disbelief. Even the most aggressive species in galactic history took decades to establish their first colony after achieving FTL travel. Commander Zephush of the Zephyrian military floated forward, his crystalline form pulsing with urgent light patterns. The speed of their expansion defies all known patterns of civilizational development. Our xenobiologists estimate this rate of growth typically takes between 800 and 2,000 years to achieve. What is their technology level? Asked Queen Mother 7 through 12 of the hive queens, speaking in unison. Primitive by our standards, Zephush replied. Their ships are crude, inefficient, and use excessive amounts of fuel. Their weapons appear to be modified versions of their industrial tools. Their colonies lack the elegant life support systems we would expect from an advanced species. Then how are they expanding so quickly? The question came from Elder Wisp of the gas whales, his massive form creating pressure waves that translated into deep, thoughtful tones. Veltar activated a holographic display showing the Sol system. Red dots marked human colonies spreading outward like an infection. They appear to have no concept of careful planning or resource management. They simply go. Their ships launch every few days, carrying whatever materials and people they can fit. They establish colonies on worlds that should be uninhabitable. They mine asteroids that contain dangerous materials. They build stations in areas of space that we consider too hazardous to enter. Are they warriors? Asked the ethereal collective, their energy forms shifting to aggressive red patterns. We cannot determine their intentions, admitted Zephush. They respond to all communication attempts with what their language calls small talk. They discuss weather, share images of small animals, and offer to trade what they call coffee and chocolate. They seem completely unaware that their expansion violates 17 different galactic treaties. The chamber fell silent. In 10,000 years of galactic civilization, every species had followed the same pattern: develop FTL travel, make contact with the Galactic Council, accept guidance on proper expansion protocols, and slowly integrate into galactic society over several centuries. What do you recommend? Veltar asked the assembly. The debate that followed lasted 6 hours. Some species suggested immediate military action, others preferred economic sanctions. The wisest voices counseled patience and further study. Finally, the council reached its decision through the ancient voting process. 47 species agreed. The humans must be stopped before their chaotic expansion destabilized the entire galactic order. Veltar composed the message himself, following the traditional format used for countless species over the millennia. To the governing body of the species known as humans, from the Galactic Council of Kepler Station. Your recent expansion into galactic space has been noted and deemed excessive. By the authority vested in this council by 10,000 years of galactic law, you are hereby ordered to: first, immediately cease all expansion beyond your home system. Second, Surrender all faster-than-light technology to Council oversight. Third, accept Protectorate status under the guidance of the hegemony. You have 72 hours to respond with your compliance. Failure to comply will result in enforcement action. This message has been sent through quantum transmission and translated into your primary languages. The message was sent at 14:30 Galactic Standard Time. Every council member expected a response within hours. Previous species had typically replied within 30 minutes, either with immediate surrender or desperate pleas for negotiation. 18 hours passed. Then 24. The council began to worry that the message had been lost in transmission, though quantum communication was considered perfectly reliable. Finally, at 02:47 Galactic Standard Time, exactly 36 hours after the ultimatum was sent, Earth's response arrived. The transmission opened with the image of a human female sitting behind a simple desk. She appeared to be middle-aged by human standards, with dark hair and wearing what humans called a business suit. The nameplate on her desk read, Director Sarah Chen, United Earth Assembly. Greetings, Galactic Council. Director Chen began in a pleasant, professional tone. We received your message yesterday and have been discussing it in our assembly. I want to thank you for reaching out and making contact with us. It's exciting to know we're not alone in the universe. Several council members exchanged glances. This was not the typical response. Director Chen continued reading from the ultimatum. You want us to stop expanding, give you our FTL technology, and accept something called Protectorate status. She paused, looking thoughtful. You say our expansion is excessive and violates galactic law. She set down the message and looked directly into the camera. I have to ask, have you actually looked at what we've been building out here? Then Director Chen did something that no species in galactic history had ever done in response to a council ultimatum. She began to laugh. It started as a small chuckle, then grew into genuine amusement. She wiped tears from her eyes and shook her head. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but you're worried about 17 colonies in 67 days. Do you know what we built on Earth in the last 67 days? She pulled up a display showing construction projects across Earth, floating cities, underground complexes, orbital habitats, and massive engineering projects that spanned continents. We built 43 new cities, launched 237 satellites, completed 6 underwater research stations, and finished a bridge that connects 2 continents, Director Chen said, still smiling. And that's just what we finished. We started construction on 3 times that amount. She leaned forward, her expression becoming more serious but still friendly. We're not expanding because we want to conquer anyone. We're expanding because that's what humans do. We build things, we explore, we turn empty places into homes. It's not aggression, it's just Tuesday. The transmission ended with Director Chen's final words. We'd be happy to meet with you and discuss this further. Maybe we can find a way to work together. Oh, and if any of you are ever in the Sol system, stop by Earth. We'll show you around. The council chamber remained silent for a full minute after the transmission ended. In 10,000 years of galactic history, no species had ever responded to an ultimatum with laughter and an invitation to visit. The council chamber buzzed with confused chatter for 3 days after receiving Earth's response. Ambassador Veltar called emergency session after emergency session, but no one could explain what they had witnessed. Perhaps it was a translation error, suggested Elder Wisp of the gas whales. His massive form shifted nervously in his atmospheric tank. Their language might not have proper words for surrender or compliance. Commander Zephosh disagreed, his crystalline body pulsing with frustrated patterns. Our translation systems are perfect. We have successfully communicated with over 300 species using the same protocols. The humans understood our message completely. Then why did their leader laugh? Asked the Hive Queens. Their collective voice carried undertones of genuine confusion. Laughter in response to superior force indicates either madness or possession of secret weapons. Which category applies to these humans? Veltar studied the recording of Director Chen's response for the 100th time. I believe we need more information. Commander Zephosh, prepare a survey fleet. We need to assess their actual military capabilities. With respect, Ambassador, Zephosh replied, their military capabilities are irrelevant. No single world can stand against the combined might of the Galactic Council. Even if they possess advanced weapons, they cannot have enough ships to matter. Nevertheless, Veltar insisted, We must understand what we're dealing with. Take 3 dreadnoughts and a full sensor array. Observe their colonies but do not engage. Report back on their actual strength. The survey fleet departed Kepler Station 6 days later. Commander Zephosh led from the bridge of the Eternal Harmony, the most advanced ship in the Zephyrian fleet. His crew consisted of the best military analysts from 12 different species. The journey to Sol system took 8 days at maximum FTL speed. As they approached the edge of human space, the crew expected to find scattered outposts struggling to survive in the harsh environment of deep space. Instead, they found something unprecedented. Commander, called Lieutenant Vexana from the sensor station, her crystalline form flickering with disbelief. I'm reading massive structures throughout this system. These aren't simple colonies. On the main display, the Sol system revealed itself in stunning detail. Every planet and major moon showed signs of human presence. But more shocking were the artificial structures. Massive spinning habitats around Jupiter, mining platforms throughout the asteroid belt, and a web of space stations connected by streams of constant traffic. How many humans live in this system? Zephosh asked. Unknown, sir. The energy signatures suggest billions, but that's impossible. They achieved FTL travel less than 4 months ago. As they moved deeper into the system, the survey fleet encountered human ships everywhere. Most were crude-looking vessels that appeared to be converted industrial equipment, but there were so many of them. Cargo ships, passenger transports, construction vessels, and mining craft moved between dozens of installations in a constant flow of activity. Sir, Vexana reported, we're being scanned by multiple human installations. They know we're here. Any aggressive actions? No, sir. In fact, she paused, checking her readings. Sir, they're trying to communicate with us. Multiple signals on various frequencies. The translation computers are working on it now. The main screen flickered as the translation came through. A cheerful human voice filled the bridge. Unknown vessels, this is Sol Traffic Control. Welcome to our system. Please identify yourselves and state your destination. If you need assistance with navigation, fuel, or repairs, we have service stations at Jupiter, Ceres, and Luna. Have a great day. The Zephyrian crew exchanged bewildered looks. This was not how encounters with unknown alien fleets were supposed to proceed. Sir, Vexana continued, I'm detecting weapon signatures from their installations, but they're unusual. The energy patterns don't match any known military technology. Zephosh decided to investigate one of the smaller human installations. They approached what appeared to be a mining station built inside a small asteroid. According to their sensors, it housed approximately 50,000 humans. As they drew closer, human ships began emerging from the asteroid. But instead of forming defensive formations, they seemed to be welcoming them. Translation coming through now, sir, Vexana reported. The human voice was warm and friendly. Welcome to Asteroid Station Charlie 7. I'm Administrator Jackson. We don't get many visitors out here. Are you tourists, traders, or scientists? We've got great views of Saturn from here, and our coffee shop makes the best pastries in the belt. Just follow the guide lights to Docking Bay 3. Zephosh stared at the display. The humans were treating 3 alien warships like visiting friends. Sir, should we dock? Asked his tactical officer. Absolutely not, Zephosh replied. Begin detailed scans of their military installations. What they found defied all military logic. The human installations were heavily armed, but the weapons seemed to be modified mining and construction equipment. Massive drills that could double as kinetic weapons. Industrial lasers powerful enough to cut through ship hulls. Fusion torches that could serve as devastating close-range weapons. But the positioning made no sense. The weapons weren't arranged for defense. They were clearly designed for their original industrial purposes and only incidentally useful for fighting. It's like they built a civilization without considering defense at all, muttered the tactical officer. As they observed, more human ships arrived to look at the alien visitors. Soon, dozens of human vessels surrounded the survey fleet, but not in any threatening formation. They seemed genuinely curious, sir, Vexana reported. One of the human ships is approaching with what appears to be gifts. They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies, trying to establish cultural exchange protocols. Through the view screen, they could see a small human vessel approaching slowly, its exterior covered with lights arranged in patterns that seemed intended to be welcoming. The ship was broadcasting music, mathematical equations, and images of Earth. They're trying to make friends with us, Zephosh said in disbelief. The survey fleet spent 3 more days in the Sol system, visiting different installations and trying to understand human military capabilities. What they found was consistent. Humans were everywhere, building constantly, and treating the alien visitors like interesting guests rather than potential threats. At every location, humans offered tours, shared food, and asked questions about alien cultures. Their installations were massive and well supplied, but clearly designed for industry and habitation rather than warfare. The most disturbing discovery came at the Luna orbital shipyards. The humans were building hundreds of ships simultaneously, all using the same crude but effective technology. The construction rate suggested they could build more ships in a month than most civilizations produced in a year. But they're not military vessels, the tactical officer noted. They're cargo ships, passenger transports, and more industrial equipment. That's what worries me, Zephosh replied. They're building infrastructure faster than we can analyze it. On the final day, Administrator Jackson from Asteroid Station Charlie 7 sent a personal message. Sorry we didn't get to meet in person. Next time you're in the neighborhood, please stop by. We're always happy to meet new people. Oh, and tell your friends they're welcome too. The survey fleet departed Sol system with more questions than answers. Their report to the Galactic Council was unprecedented. The humans possess no advanced military technology, but their industrial capacity exceeds that of civilizations 10 times their age. They show no fear of alien contact and appear to view our visit as a positive cultural exchange. Their expansion is not driven by conquest, but by what appears to be compulsive building behavior. Military threat level. Unknown because they don't seem to think in military terms at all. Ambassador Veltar read the report 3 times before believing it. In 10,000 years of galactic history, no species had ever responded to first contact with offers of coffee and pastries. The humans remained an unprecedented puzzle, and the 72-hour deadline for their surrender had passed weeks ago. Director Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Assembly in Geneva, looking out at representatives from every nation on the planet. The Great Hall buzzed with quiet conversation as delegates reviewed the reports from their intelligence services. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen began, we have a situation that requires careful thought. The Galactic Council has given us an ultimatum, and we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. She activated the holographic display showing the Council's message and the survey fleet's recent visit to Sol system. Our xenopsychology teams have been analyzing their behavior patterns, and we've reached some interesting conclusions. Dr. James Okafor stepped forward from the scientific advisory panel. As Earth's leading expert on alien behavior, his analysis would shape humanity's response. The fundamental issue is a difference in worldview, he explained. The Galactic Council operates from a scarcity mindset. They see the universe as having limited resources that must be carefully managed and divided. And humans? Asked President Martinez of the South American Federation. We operate from an abundance mindset, Dr. Okafor replied. When we see an empty space, we don't think about who might want it later. We think about what we could build there right now. Chen nodded. Our expansion has frightened them because they've never encountered a species that expands for the pure joy of building. They think we're claiming territory for strategic advantage. Are we not? Asked Prime Minister Singh of the Asian Cooperative. Surely our colonies provide strategic benefits. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's chief xenobiologist, laughed. Have you looked at where we're building? We established a colony on a moon with acid rain because someone thought the storms looked pretty. We built a research station inside an asteroid field that no sane military strategist would ever try to defend. We put a trading post next to a pulsar because the radiation patterns were interesting. That's exactly the behavior that confuses them, Dr. Okafor added. Military expansion follows predictable patterns. Secure the valuable resources, establish defensive positions, create supply lines. Our expansion follows only one pattern. That looks cool, let's build something there. Chen pulled up the intelligence report on galactic civilization. Our analysis of their society reveals some important facts. They've had peace for 10,000 years, because they've created a system where everyone knows their place. New species join the council, accept guidance on proper development, and slowly integrate over centuries. How slowly? Asked Director Kim of the Pacific Alliance. The average species takes 400 years to establish their first 10 colonies, Chen replied. We built 17 in 2 months. The assembly fell quiet as the implications sank in. They're not angry because we're aggressive, Dr. Rodriguez explained. They're terrified because we're unpredictable. Their entire galactic order depends on slow, careful, managed growth. We represent chaos. But we're not chaotic, protested Admiral Thompson of the Space Force. We have plans, procedures, safety protocols. Do we? Dr. Okafor asked with a smile. Last week, the Europa colony decided to build an underwater city just to see if they could do it better than the one on Earth. The Ceres mining station started a zero-gravity sports league. The research outpost near Alpha Centauri is breeding flowers that can survive in vacuum because one of the botanists was bored. Those are reasonable recreational activities, Thompson insisted. That's the point, Chen said. What we consider normal human behavior they see as completely insane. They've been studying our entertainment to understand our psychology. She activated another display showing intercepted Galactic Council intelligence reports. They're particularly disturbed by our action movies. They can't understand stories where individuals overcome impossible odds through determination and stubbornness. Their heroes win through superior technology and careful planning. What about our war films? Asked General Hassan of the African Union. Those really confused them, Dr. Rodriguez laughed. They found a report that describes human military doctrine as tactically suicidal but strategically effective. They can't understand why we make movies about soldiers who refuse to retreat even when defeat is certain. Because sometimes refusing to lose is the only way to win, Admiral Thompson said simply. Exactly, Chen replied. But they've never encountered that mindset. When they face superior force, they surrender and negotiate. When we face superior force, we start building bigger guns and looking for weaknesses. Dr. Okafor brought up the psychological profiles. There's another factor. They've never seen a species that makes friends with their enemies. They studied our history and found hundreds of examples of former enemies becoming allies. They have no cultural framework for that concept. So what do they expect us to do? Asked President Martinez. Surrender immediately or fight a conventional war that we'll obviously lose, Chen replied. They cannot conceive of a third option, which is, keep doing exactly what we've been doing, Dr. Rodriguez said with a grin. Keep building, keep exploring, keep being friendly to everyone we meet. Eventually, they'll realize we're not a threat to their system. Are we not a threat? Asked Director Kim. The question hung in the air for several moments. That depends, Chen finally said, on whether you consider making friends with everyone and building really good infrastructure to be threatening behavior. Admiral Thompson stood up. With respect, Director, they have vastly superior technology and thousands of years of military experience. If they decide to stop us by force, can we resist? Chen looked at Dr. Okafor, who nodded. Tell them about the simulations. Our military analysts have run extensive computer models, Thompson began. In a conventional war, we would lose badly. Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful, their tactics more refined. But, Chen prompted. But we don't fight conventional wars, Thompson continued. Every war game simulation breaks down when human forces start doing things like ramming damaged fighters into enemy ships, turning mining equipment into weapons, and refusing to surrender even when defeat is mathematically certain. The computers can't predict our behavior, because we don't behave rationally by galactic standards, Dr. Okafor added. We treat warfare like construction work. If the current approach isn't working, try something different. There's one more factor, Chen said quietly. They're used to fighting species that have something to lose. Established homeworlds, irreplaceable infrastructure, populations that can't be evacuated. And we don't? Asked Prime Minister Singh. We're nomads, Chen replied. We've been spreading across Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. Now we're spreading across the galaxy. If they destroy our colonies, we'll build new ones. If they blockade our systems, we'll find new routes. If they try to contain us, we'll slip through the gaps. Because building things is what we do, Dr. Rodriguez said. It's not our job or our strategy. It's who we are. Chen looked around the assembly. The question before us is simple. Do we try to fit into their system or do we continue being human? The vote was unanimous. Humanity would continue being human. In that case, Chen said, I suggest we prepare for their next move. They'll probably try a demonstration of force to make us take them seriously. What kind of demonstration? Asked Admiral Thompson. Most likely a surgical strike on one of our remote outposts, Chen replied. Something to show their superior technology without causing massive casualties. Should we evacuate our people? Chen smiled. No, Admiral. We should make sure they have plenty of coffee and pastries ready. Something tells me this is going to be an interesting first contact. Commander Zefosh stared at the tactical display aboard the Eternal Harmony, trying to understand how a simple demonstration of force had become so complicated. 3 hegemony dreadnoughts hung in space near Saturn, their weapons powered but not yet aimed at the human installation below. Target confirmed, reported Lieutenant Vexana from the sensor station. Titan Station, mining platform Charlie 7. Population approximately 800 humans. Minimal defenses detected. Perfect, Zefosh said. A surgical strike on a remote mining platform will demonstrate our capabilities without significant casualties. The humans will understand they cannot resist Council authority. The plan was simple. Decloak the dreadnoughts, demand surrender, disable the station's communications and power systems, then withdraw. It was the standard procedure used successfully on dozens of worlds over the past few millennia. All ships report ready, called the communications officer. Execute, Zefosh ordered. The 3 dreadnoughts shimmered into visibility, their massive forms blocking the light from the distant sun. Each ship was over 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that could reduce a planet to rubble. Against a simple mining platform, they represented overwhelming force. Broadcasting surrender demands on all frequencies, reported the communications officer. The response came immediately, but not in the form Zefosh expected. Holy cow, are those hegemony dreadnoughts? The voice was young, human, and excited rather than terrified. This is amazing. Hey everyone, come look at this. On the main screen, the mining platform suddenly came alive with activity. Instead of evacuation or defensive preparations, humans were crowding onto observation decks and launching small ships to get better views of the alien vessels. Sir, Vexana reported, confusion clear in her crystalline voice patterns. They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies. The translation computers are working overtime. The bridge filled with human chatter. Wow, look at the size of those things. Someone get Administrator Jackson, she'll want to see this. Are those energy weapons? The engineering must be incredible. Should we offer them coffee? They've probably been traveling for weeks. Zefosh stared at the display. They want to offer us refreshments? It appears so, sir. Multiple humans are suggesting that we might be tired or hungry from our journey. Communications repeat the surrender demand. Make it clear that we are here to demonstrate superior force. The human response came from Administrator Jackson herself. Oh, you're here about that council thing. We got the message weeks ago. Director Chen said you might want to make a point about your military capabilities. That's totally understandable. First contact situations can be tense. Would you like to dock and discuss this over coffee? They're treating this as a diplomatic meeting, the tactical officer observed. Sir, Vexana interrupted, I'm detecting new contacts. Multiple small craft launching from the mining platform. Defensive fighters? Zefosh asked. Unknown, sir. They're approaching in what appears to be a welcoming formation. No weapons detected, but their configuration is unusual. On the screen, dozens of small human craft emerged from the mining platform. They were clearly improvised vessels, converted mining shuttles, and cargo haulers, but instead of forming military formations, they seemed to be organizing themselves into some kind of parade. Sir, they're broadcasting music, the communications officer reported. And poetry. Someone is reading poems about space exploration. Are we being mocked? Zefosh demanded. I don't believe so, sir. Analysis suggests genuine enthusiasm and curiosity. One of the human craft approached closer than military protocol would allow. Its pilot was broadcasting directly to the hegemony flagship. Eternal Harmony, this is mining shuttle Bob's dream. Permission to approach for cultural exchange? My daughter is writing a school report about alien civilizations, and meeting real hegemony officers would make her the coolest kid in her class. Zefosh looked around his bridge at the bewildered faces of his crew. Are they serious? Sir, the tactical officer said carefully. They appear to be treating our demonstration of force as an opportunity for educational outreach. Open fire, Zefosh ordered. Disable their communications array. That will get their attention. Sir, their communications array appears to be integrated into their main habitat structure. Disabling it would cause significant damage to life support systems. Then target their power generators. Same problem, sir. Their infrastructure is completely integrated. Any attempt to disable military-relevant systems will endanger civilian lives. Zephosh studied the tactical display. Human mining platforms were apparently built like interconnected cities rather than military installations. There were no discrete military targets to disable without risking massive casualties. "Sir," Vexosh called urgently. "The human craft are closing to extreme proximity. I believe they're trying to welcome us aboard their vessels." Through the view screen, Zephosh could see human pilots in the small craft waving enthusiastically and holding up signs. The translation computers worked frantically. "Welcome to Sol. First contact party tonight. Try our zero-G pastries." "This is not how demonstrations of force are supposed to proceed," Zephosh muttered. "Sir, Administrator Jackson is requesting permission to come aboard with the delegation. She says she has gifts." "Absolutely not. She also says their coffee is better than anything in the galaxy, and she's eager to hear about hegemony culture." Before Zephosh could respond, proximity alarms began sounding throughout the bridge. "Sir, one of the human craft has attached itself to our docking bay," Vexana reported. "The pilot is requesting permission to board." "Denied." "Order them to withdraw immediately." "Sir, the pilot says his name is Dave and he brought sandwiches." Zephosh stared at the tactical display where a small mining shuttle was now physically connected to his dreadnought. The most advanced warship in the hegemony fleet was being boarded by someone named Dave with sandwiches. "Security teams to Docking Bay 7, he ordered. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted. "We're receiving multiple messages from the human platform. They're organizing some kind of celebration to welcome us to their system. They're asking about dietary restrictions and whether we prefer live music or recorded entertainment." "They're planning a party," Zephosh said in disbelief. "It appears so, sir. They've also asked if our crew would like tours of their mining operations. Apparently they've developed new techniques for asteroid processing that they're excited to share." The proximity alarm sounded again. 2 more human craft had attached themselves to different docking bays. "Sir, this is Chief Engineer Rodriguez from Shuttle Happy Trails. I noticed your ship has some interesting energy signatures. Would you be willing to discuss propulsion technologies? Our engineers would love to learn about hegemony drive systems." And then, "Eternal Harmony, this is Dr. Sarah Kim from Shuttle Curiosity. I'm a xenobiologist, and meeting Zephyrians would be the highlight of my career. I have tea that supposedly helps with crystal resonance harmonics if you're interested." "Sir," Vexana reported, 17 human craft are now attempting to dock with our fleet. They appear to be treating this as a meet and greet opportunity. Zephosh realized that his demonstration of force had somehow turned into an impromptu cultural exchange program. The humans weren't surrendering or fleeing. They were throwing a welcome party. "Sir, what are your orders?" Zephosh looked at the tactical display showing his 3 mighty dreadnoughts surrounded by dozens of small human craft filled with civilians bearing gifts and asking questions about alien technology. "Withdraw," he ordered quietly. "Sir, all ships withdraw to safe distance. Maintain observation but do not engage." As the hegemony fleet pulled back, Administrator Jackson's voice followed them. "Thanks for stopping by. Sorry we couldn't give you the full tour. Next time you're in the area, please let us know you're coming and we'll have a proper reception ready." The human craft returned to their mining platform, still broadcasting cheerful messages about how exciting it was to meet real aliens and how they hoped to see the hegemony fleet again soon. Zephosh spent the next 6 hours writing his report to the Galactic Council. It was the most difficult document he had ever composed. How could he explain that a demonstration of superior force had been met with offers of coffee and requests for cultural exchange? His final report concluded, "Military action against human installations may be ineffective due to their unusual psychological response patterns. Recommend alternative approaches to resolving this situation." What he didn't include in the report was his growing suspicion that the humans had somehow turned the entire encounter into exactly what they wanted: a friendly first meeting with alien neighbors who might be interested in becoming friends. 6 months after the failed demonstration at Titan Station, Ambassador Veltar found himself in the unprecedented position of requesting a diplomatic meeting with the species he had originally ordered to surrender. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 47 worlds debated the most unusual situation in their 10,000-year history. "The humans have continued their expansion," reported Commander Zephosh, his crystalline form pulsing with patterns of confusion. rather than the usual military confidence. They now have 67 colonies, 140 mining operations, and 43 trading posts across 21 star systems. Have they shown any aggressive behavior? Asked Elder Wisp of the gas whales. That's the problem, Zephosh replied. We don't know what to call their behavior. They've established trading posts along major shipping routes between council worlds. They've built what they call rest stops at strategic points throughout their territory. They've even set up emergency rescue stations near known hazardous areas of space. Queen Mothers 7 through 12 of the Hive Queens spoke in unison. Are these not military installations disguised as civilian facilities? Our intelligence reports suggest otherwise, Veltar interjected. Every facility they build actually functions as advertised. The trading posts sell food, fuel, and supplies to passing ships. The rest stops offer repairs and accommodations to travelers. The rescue stations have already saved 17 vessels from 7 different species, including 3 of our own ships, Zephosh admitted reluctantly. The chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. They rescued council vessels? Asked the ethereal collective, their energy forms flickering with disbelief. Last month, a hegemony science vessel suffered engine failure near a pulsar. The closest rescue ship was 8 days away. A human emergency response team reached them in 6 hours, repaired their engines, and refused payment. They said it was just being neighborly. Veltar activated the holographic display showing the latest intelligence reports. Our analysts have been studying human expansion patterns for 6 months. They've reached a conclusion that challenges everything we thought we knew about interstellar civilization. Which is, prompted Elder Wisp, the humans aren't expanding through conquest. They're expanding through what they call aggressive hospitality. They build infrastructure wherever they go, but not to control territory. They build it to create places where anyone can live, work, and prosper. Dr. Kethara of the Crystalline Archives, the Council's chief xenopsychologist, stepped forward. Her usually calm demeanor showed signs of excitement. We've discovered something remarkable about human psychology. They don't see empty space as territory to be claimed. They see it as a neighborhood that needs development. Explain, Veltar requested. Every human colony follows the same pattern. They arrive, establish basic infrastructure, then immediately begin building facilities for visitors. Not military visitors, any visitors. They construct guest quarters, recreational facilities, and cultural exchange centers before they build their own permanent housing. That's strategically nonsensical, observed Commander Zephosh. It's strategically brilliant, Dr. Kethara corrected. Human colonies don't grow through military conquest or economic domination. They grow because other species ask to join them. She activated a detailed display showing human expansion patterns. Look at the data. 60% of human colony populations consist of non-human residents. They have Arcturian farming communities, Rigelian research teams, and even a few hegemony citizens who requested asylum. Asylum? Veltar asked sharply. Voluntary relocation, Dr. Kethara clarified quickly. Individuals who were attracted by human culture and asked to participate in their society. The revelation sent ripples of concern through the chamber. What attracts them? Asked the Hive Queens. Freedom to build whatever they want, apparently. Human colonies don't have strict regulations about appropriate development. If someone has an idea for a new project, the humans encourage them to try it. Veltar studied the reports with growing understanding. They're not conquering territory. They're creating environments so appealing that others want to join them voluntarily. Exactly. And their expansion rate is accelerating because satisfied residents recommend human colonies to their friends and families. This explains their response to our ultimatum, Zephosh realized. They weren't defying council authority. They genuinely didn't understand why we saw their activities as threatening. At that moment, a new transmission arrived from Earth. Director Sarah Chen appeared on the main display, but she wasn't alone. Behind her stood representatives from a dozen different species, including several that Veltar recognized as council members. Greetings. Galactic Council. Director Chen began with her characteristic warm smile. I understand you've been curious about our expansion activities. Rather than trying to explain through reports and messages, we thought it might be easier to show you directly. She gestured to her companions. These are some of our neighbors, beings from various worlds who've chosen to work with human colonies. We've prepared a presentation that might help clear up some misunderstandings. The presentation that followed revolutionized galactic thinking about civilization and expansion. Dr. Marcus Webb, a human anthropologist, began, "The fundamental difference between human expansion and traditional galactic expansion is our definition of success. Most species expand to acquire resources, establish dominance, or ensure security. Humans expand to create interesting places to live." "What makes a place interesting?" asked Veltar. "Diversity," replied Cathala, an Arcturian who served as administrator of the New Harmony colony. "Human colonies actively seek residents from different species, cultures, and backgrounds. They believe variety makes life more enjoyable." "And they support this how?" pressed Commander Zephosh. Chen herself answered, "By building infrastructure that works for everyone. Our colonies have atmospheric zones for different breathing requirements, gravity variations for species comfort, and cultural spaces for everyone to maintain their traditions while sharing them with others." An engineer from the gas whale species, somehow managing to participate through a specialized environmental suit, added, "Human construction techniques adapt to local conditions rather than imposing standardized solutions. They asked us how we would prefer to live, then built facilities that met our needs." "But what do humans gain from this?" asked the ethereal collective. "Neighbors," Chen replied simply. "We gain communities full of interesting people doing fascinating things. Did you know that Rigelian musicians create the most beautiful songs when they collaborate with human poets? Or that Zephyrian crystal growing techniques combined with human hydroponics can produce food that's both nutritious and works of art?" The presentation continued for 2 hours, showing examples of human colonies that had become thriving multi-species communities. Each one was different, adapted to local conditions and the preferences of its residents. "The most remarkable thing," Dr. Cathara observed, "is their attitude toward failure. When a human project doesn't work, they don't abandon it or punish those responsible. They study what went wrong, learn from it, and try something different." "We fail a lot," Chen admitted cheerfully, "but we fail forward. Every mistake teaches us how to build something better next time." As the presentation ended, Veltar realized that the Galactic Council faced a choice that would define the future of interstellar civilization. "Director Chen," he said formally, "the Galactic Council would like to propose a new relationship with humanity. Rather than protectorate status, we would like to designate Earth and its colonies as galactic infrastructure partners." "What does that mean?" Chen asked. "It means we're officially recognizing what you've been doing all along, building the roads, rest stops, and service centers that make interstellar civilization possible. We're asking you to keep doing exactly what you've been doing, but with Council support and resources." Chen's face broke into her familiar warm smile. "That sounds wonderful. We accept with one condition, which is, next time you want to discuss galactic policy, try the coffee first. It really does make everything easier to understand." The vote was unanimous. Humanity received its first official galactic designation, Universal Hospitality Services. Earth's response was typically human. Within days, construction began on the first Galactic Welcome Center at Kepler Station. The facility would include accommodations for all known species, cultural exchange areas, and what Director Chen promised would be the best coffee shop in the galaxy. When Ambassador Veltar asked why humans were so eager to build infrastructure for others, Director Chen gave him an answer that he would remember for the rest of his very long life. "Because empty space is just potential. But space filled with friends is home." The Great Hall of Kepler Station had never seen anything like the construction crew that arrived the following week. Humans worked alongside Zephyrians, Arcturians, and even a few adventurous gas whales, all building something that had never existed before. A truly galactic community center. And at the center of it all was a coffee shop run by a cheerful human named Dave, who had brought sandwiches to a dreadnought, and somehow convinced the galaxy that the best way to make friends was to build places where everyone was welcome.